What's your favorite things to eat?
Okay.
Pepperoni pizza and Cheeto Puff.
You like that crunchy, like what do you call it? Like
Puffified.
okay, puffified.
Wait, I made a new word.
Hey, got you.
Do you guys have favorite places to visit?
Colorado. The Big Apple.
All right.
What would be y'all's favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Everyone's Christmas.
All right.
So we want a dish to be Christmas, Colorado, and puffified.
Your time starts.
Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. This is your podcast for all things food and pop culture. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content to make sure you keep up with everything that's going on, and make sure you like and follow and subscribe on your podcast player of choice so you know when new episodes drop. We are in week 5 of Top Chef season 23, and joining me week after week, Chef Corwin Hemming. Chef, how are you?
Rich, what's going on? We're back. Another week.
We are back. We're going to do another breakdown of another great episode of Top Chef Carolinas. I thought overall it was a pretty fun episode. I liked both challenges. We have kids in the mix, and kids are always unpredictable and funny, which
I have kids. They're definitely unpredictable.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So let's get right into it. So let's get right into the quick fire. Our guest judges was Fortune Feemster, actor, comedian, writer, and three kids. We had Kinsley Wolf and Anna Kate, 8 and 9-year-olds. So I thought they were pretty funny, especially Anna Kate there towards the end. Talking about corn nuts was hilarious. And then talk about Fortune Feemster. She's pretty funny. And then they cut to Sherry's confessional saying, Sherry thinks she's a funny person. And they're like, tell us a joke. And she's like, no, I don't think I'm going to. And then just does not crack a smile. She does not strike me as a funny person. I don't think she's a comedian there. But what did you think of the quickfire with kids? The challenge was to improvise a dish, and they asked the kids like improv questions. If you've ever been to an improv comedy thing or watch Whose Line Is It Anyway, they always ask, name a place, name of this, name of that. And then they come up with a whole skit. So what did you think of the kids in this challenge?
Kids in the challenge is, in my head, would have gone one of two ways. It's easy to cook for kids. Kids like sweet, salty things, fry something. They like simple things. And they had some good ideas about how to put together the challenge. I thought the challenge was a little weird in how they formulated what needs to go on a plate. Christmas, Colorado. I was like, okay. And then corn nuts got thrown in there, and I was like, all right, like where are we going with this? It was a weird challenge for me, but I do like the kids being a part of it. I think they bring a lot of creativity in terms of like their imagination, just being like, well, do this, do that. We want to see this. And I think it made for a good challenge overall, but challenge is a little weird.
I mean, yeah, I can imagine you're a Top Chef contestant, and then you see these kids come out, and you're like, oh man, because kids, I mean, they have simple taste, but they are brutal, and you try
honest.
to appeal to their taste buds, and you don't know if you're hitting it on the head there. I mean, at your restaurant, I mean, I'm assuming you don't have a kids menu. It's not necessarily a family restaurant, right? And you're a new father yourself. So when you talk about cooking for kids, like and as a chef, what do you hope to impart on kids as, so they don't get stuck in the chicken nugget stage for too long?
I think it's really just up to the parents that, kids, they follow, they don't listen. Well, they do listen, but they're going to follow your lead in terms of like watching your visuals. So like, for example, you take a sip of your drink, you go, kids are going to be like, they're going to do those things. So I think it's really important for you to just really eat things, expose them to stuff. Like, for example, my parents were in the military when I was young. And us living overseas multiple times as a family, we were exposed to Korean food. We were exposed to German food. My parents were always like not scared. My dad's Jamaican. So like we were always eating things from around the world. And so I kind of was forced to like just go for it as a kid and just try new things. And I think that ultimately left its thumbprint on me. And like why I became a chef is because all my earliest memories are traveling and eating food. And so as a kid, like you need to have a lot of those imprint moments as a parent so that your kid grows up and they're not just a chicken finger kid. They're gonna have a phase of being a chicken finger kid. Every kid goes through it. But if that's all you do as a parent, and you just feed them easy, then that's what they're gonna grow up to, know. And then they're gonna have all these weird misconceptions about food instead of keeping an open mind to it.
Yeah. I think that's the key to just expose your kids to a variety of foods. I know as working parents, it can be tough it's easier just to throw in a tray of frozen dino nuggets in the oven and call it a day. But you know,
I still eat frozen dino nuggets from time to time. It's okay, but don't let that be the only thing you feed your kids.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So the challenge was improvise a dish using the keywords Christmas, Colorado, and puffified. I thought puffified was funny. Wolf came up with that one, the 8-year-old there. And so they said, what's your favorite holiday? What's your favorite place to visit? What's your favorite type of food? And puffified, Christmas, and Colorado. So that's an odd combination. Like what do you cook? I mean, if you were on this challenge, like when you think puffified, what were you thinking when you heard that word come up?
Something puffy and crispy. Like they want texture. Kids are very like in tune with their senses, and so they are looking to soak up anything. So something crispy, something salty, something sweet. Like go in that direction. Like keep it simple. Don't try to be a chef, too much of a chef in this moment. Obviously, you're still cooking for Kristen, but like your kids are the guest judges. So like the ones that are going to be like, oh, that's good. Like Kristen's going to be like, all right, we're going with that.
Yeah. And I want to talk about Seeger for just a second. Seeger says, you know, if I win, because you get 10K, you know, quick fire, quick cash. Says if I win, I'm getting a vasectomy. And then in the middle of cooking, he says something like, "I got to cook for these little shits." I'm like, they're right there sitting in the room. I'm like, all right, Seeger, we get it. You don't like kids. We understand. Like, why do you hate kids, Seeger? Like, man,
I don't know, but that was hilarious. We had a moment on my season like that. Schwei was the guy that, you know, was that in that moment. Schwei's humor is hilarious. And he had a couple moments of like cracking us up talking about kids. And I'm like, oh man, this is funny. But they're also right there, like, bro, like you gotta cook for these little shits. They probably didn't hear him, but still.
Yeah, I mean, Seeger probably doesn't have a kids menu at his restaurant. Probably
Nah,
not. I doubt it.
definitely
I doubt it. So let's talk a little bit about some of the choices in the cooking. So Rhoda decided to cook lamb, which, you know, that's tough for a kid. I mean, immediately when I heard a lamb shepherd's pie, I was like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work out. Lamb is, you know, it's gamey, and you know,
yeah.
a lot of adults don't like lamb, let alone kids that haven't, you know, had their palate exposed to different things. What were some other highlights or lowlights when you were seeing some of the choices of cooking for these kids that you were kind of like, yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea, or wow, that's a genius idea.
The who was it that made the ice cream? Somebody did ice cream. It was one of the
Brandon.
twins. Brandon did the ice cream, and I was like, bingo, that's a winner. I was like, what kid is not gonna like maple syrup on top of ice cream? That to me is like, all right, make them dessert. Like that's just a smart idea. Think simple. Winner, chicken dinner, lamb. Like you just said, it's too much for a kid's palate. A lot of adults don't like it, so that, you know, it's just you got to cook smart in these challenges. Like that's what Top Chef is about, just embracing the challenge and like staying right there. Like Brandon, kudos to you. You won some quick fire cash with that. I thought as soon as he did that, I thought that was smart. I also thought Seeger with the puff sorghum, the little mini popcorn, cool idea. Like that is a visual that a kid is going to be like, oh, like I didn't understand that sorghum puffs and it's just mini popcorn. You just taught them something that they're probably never going to forget. So a lot of, excuse me, a lot of little cool ideas I saw going around the kitchen on this challenge. Some of them missed their mark, but I think those two, popcorn and the ice cream, two smart things going for them.
Yeah, and then with 6 minutes left, they throw a curveball and they ask the kids, "What we need to throw something at them," and they decide on corn nuts. And then they cut to Anna Kate's hilarious confessional. It's, you know, you watch these confessionals with the chefs, and then you see this like little kid, like barely head and shoulders in the frame, and she's like, "This is Top Chef. They can handle a corn nut." I was like, "Same girl." That was funny. That was hilarious. It was like she watches Top Chef, right? I'm sure she's a
Mhm,
fan, and she's like, "Look,
mhm.
this is Top Chef. You can handle a corn nut.
You can do it.
You could do it. And this is not hard." I thought that was pretty funny. But let's talk about the top three favorites and the bottom three least favorites. So
Mhm.
we talked about Brandon, Colorado vanilla ice cream with Nutella, corn nut crunch, and maple syrup. I mean, this is just a kind of a high end version of the elf dessert that Will Ferrell made.
Yep.
And I mean, I knew as soon as he said ice cream. I mean, he knows kids.
Mhm.
Vanilla ice cream with maple syrup and sugar on sugar, and then the salty corn nuts for that sweet salty combination. Who doesn't love that? So I knew that the vanilla ice cream was going to win, and he did do that one. Seeger, we were talking about before with the peppermint white chocolate crema Catalana with corn nuts, puff sorghum, and the strawberry and pomegranate. They did like the corn nuts, and they did like the little popcorn. They found it interesting. And then Jonathan did a pizza. So he did a puffified pizza with pita bread, andouille sausage, cheese, snow with blueberries and grapes. And we have two pizzas. One failed, one did well. So on the bottom, you had Oscar with a puff pass pizza, which I wonder if the kids went back and said, "What did that mean, Daddy and Mommy?" Having to explain that. I'm like, Oscar, man, what are you doing?
I was
Puff
watching it
pass?
and I was like, bro, Oscar, come on, dog. Like, I thought it was funny. If I was a judge and there were no kids, I'd have been like, okay, I get this guy's vibe. You know what I mean? Maybe for a little post session after service, cool. No, like the puff up pass with the kids. I'm like, dog, you can tell who has kids and who doesn't with this group of chefs.
That was funny. I was like, dude, you're riding high, riding high on the hoppin' Juan challenge. So it's like, yeah, let's make a puff pizza and try to explain that to 8, 9 year olds. But you have a tale of two pizzas. Tale of two pizzas. One did really well, and Oscar's didn't. His he did his with puff pastry and tried to fry it, and it just soaked up too much grease. What was the mistake there that he made on that one?
Puff pastry has a ton of butter in it, so deep frying it is just going to leach out all that butter because you're hitting it with more grease, and so it's not the right way. He should have just baked the puff pastry and then made a pizza. I think the kids would have been receptive to that because the puff pastry would have gotten really flaky and crispy and it would have been light and airy. It would have been puffified, but deep frying puff pastry is it's hard. It's tough. There's just too much butter in it to like make it work.
Yeah, so the winners, what we noticed with the winners is the three major kid food groups, right? It's ice cream, popcorn, and pizza.
Yeah,
So
100%.
those were your three winners, and then on the bottom, you had Rhoda with the lamb that we talked about, and the kid was funny when you're eating it. It was like, "What's lamb?" And Chris is like, "It's what you're eating." Like, I
And then
didn't
they
want
picked
to.
up the rosemary. They picked up the rosemary. What is this green thing? A tree. And Kristen goes, it's really strong. I was like, oh man, not a winner there.
Not
Not
a
gonna
winner.
win with that one.
Not a winner. So, oh, I thought you were trying to feed me a leaf. And then we talked about the puff pass pizza, and then Sherry did a puffified chicken with cheese, rainbow grits, and Christmas flavors, and they said it was too sweet and off balance. So you kind of see exactly how kids eat in this challenge. You have the staples of ice cream, popcorn, and pizza, and then you have the quote unquote weird things that kids wouldn't eat, which is lamb and something that was way too greasy, and the Christmas flavor rainbow grits that was a little too weird for the kids there. So the winner was Brandon. He gets 10K. So congratulations to Brandon. But I thought that was a fun challenge. I think it, you get kids on camera. They say don't work with kids or animals, and and here we got three kids, and they are not going to hold back, and they're going to tell you, look, you're on Top Chef. Handle the corn nut.
Yep.
So there we go. So on to the elimination challenge. So the elimination challenge was to create a dish featuring dehydrated components, and for whatever reason, they decided to have this at a white water park. I didn't see the connection between the two, but okay, they're at a white water park, which was fun, I guess. But I didn't understand the connection there. So dehydration. One thing I found interesting was Kristen said that dehydration is kind of having a moment. It's a trend that's happening in restaurants now. Do you do any dehydrated stuff, and do you see that as a growing trend in restaurants in your area?
Yeah, I think it's just the easy way to like do things and make use of things that typically are trim or off products. So that you can easily make things. So one of the things we do in terms of dehydration, we have at our cocktail lounge, we have a smaller menu. It's like more like bar snacks and like simple food. And so one of the things that I wanted to go in the direction of in the restaurant is like, how can we, utilize some of the trim and off products of us prepping one thing that we can turn into another thing. And so we dehydrate a bunch of herbs. So anytime you like cut parsley, you have all the parsley stems. Anytime you cut chives and you have the butts of the chives, we dehydrate all these herbs and we make a green powder that we dust onto some chips. So we do like an herb chive in vinegar powder chip that has its own dip, so the dip is green. And so like, little cool things like that that we've been trying out and making. Like we definitely dehydrate things. I've seen a lot of chefs like dehydrate fish skins and like puff them. So it has a moment. You just got to do it really well. I've done anything from like making like rice puffs for like tartars and crackers in the dehydrator, so that when you fry it, it like billows and puffs up. So there's a lot of cool techniques you can easily do with the dehydrator. Every restaurant should have one. You can use it for your bar program. You can dehydrate your own citrus and garnishes for cocktails. So has a ton of uses. It just depends on like how creative your team is and what you're able to go.
Yeah, so dehydration obviously takes a long, long time. So the first half of the challenge, they had 75 minutes to prep what they wanted to dehydrate and get it in the dehydrator, because sometimes it can take overnight. So after they do that, they go on a field trip, going to the whitewater rafting field trip, which I thought was fun. They have a day to not have to think about the competition. They're just there having fun and enjoying themselves. And then the next day they have an hour and a half to cook. And Rhoda made a good point. She said the challenge here with the dehydration challenge is whatever you choose to dehydrate, you're kind of locked into that. It makes it a little bit harder to pivot. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, 100%. As we saw, one of the twins, their Pavlova didn't dehydrate. Instant, like you saw the panic on his face, like, oh shit, I got to pivot right here, right now, and I got to make something or I'm going home. And luckily he did, but you are locked into it. That's the hard part of Top Chef is sometimes you do get locked into things and it sucks. I have a bone to pick with episode 5. Episode 5 is where I got knocked out, and I got locked into not having salt cod. You know what I mean? So like that right there goes to show you how stressful the environment of a Top Chef kitchen can be. Just because you're once you go into it, you do your purchase at the grocery store, you've written a menu, submitted a menu, you're locked in, like, and you got to make it work. And that's the hardest part about the challenge is sometimes you're at the will of like a dehydrator not it being overcrowded on the inside, it not being hot enough so it doesn't have enough time, you making your thing that's dehydrated too big so it has too much moisture, like so many variables that you don't get to control. Whereas if you're R&Ding something in your restaurant, you've got a whole week. You can make something work over 5 days. You can just leave it in a dehydrator, check it every like other day, and then make it work. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, when she said that, I was like, oh, I didn't even think about that. If you pick the wrong ingredients and then something doesn't work, it's going to make it a lot harder to pivot. Speaking of the pavlova, yeah, Brandon did the pavlova, and his meringue didn't dehydrate as much as he wanted it to. Plus, you're in the South, and I think they were filming in the summer, and it's humid, and it just sucked up all the moisture in the air, and it didn't set the way he wanted to set, and he had to pivot. And he really couldn't pivot that much based on what he was doing, and it ended up not turning out that great, unfortunately. So we get to the table where they're presenting, and it was great to see Savannah from Top Chef Wisconsin back. She was my co-host as we covered your season last year, Top Chef Canada. So she was on my podcast for 15 episodes last year. So if you want to check her out, you can click the link I got floating around my head here to check out any recaps from last season where Chef Corwin was a participant and Savannah was my co-host. So it was great to see her on TV. I messaged her the other day after that. I was like, man, it's so good to see you on. And she's like, oh yeah, when Kristen said I manifested this to the Carolinas, it almost made me cry. So it was really cool to see her. So let's talk about the dishes. So Anthony did a cured salmon with banga broth. So explain to me what banga broth is. Have you heard of that before, or
I have
know what that
not.
is?
I love the fact that he pulled on his sabbatical, going to the motherland of Africa, and was immersed in all these different flavors and things that he had never seen before. He definitely leans into Afro-Caribbean cuisine, and that's very apparent in his style of cooking, and he does it really well. And so him, just pulling on a memory, I think that's some of the strongest cooking you can do is evoking a memory either within yourself and using that type of like, thought process, or you feed somebody and it evokes a memory. And so I think he obviously pulled the inspiration, because most of the chefs have probably never heard of banga broth. I've never heard of that as well. So it was good to see him pulling things out of his bag and staying creative. He cooked the salmon really nicely, and his sauce came out. It looked really nice. It was like nice and like reduced and shiny. It's like that's what you want to see out of a really nice sauce. Also, shout out because he got me some points. I got some points. I think I'm coming back now that we talk about it. I'm like looking at the Quickfire challenge. I'm like, all right, my chef was here. All right, this, that. I think I'm making a comeback. I'm only 10 points down, sir. I think I got you sweating on this one.
Yeah, you had a good episode this
Yeah.
around, so we'll talk about that when we talk about the points there. But
Yeah.
yeah, your lineup of chefs really scored you some points this episode. Mine all choked, and
Yeah.
so I actually dipped into the negative. So
Ooh,
we'll see where we stand after 5 episodes.
it's not over
Um,
till it's over.
yeah, I know that's right. The fat lady's warming up in the green room. So Anthony, what I think I loved about these last few seasons, like this season, your season, and the previous few seasons, Eric Entrepong is somebody I think about,
Mhm.
is the elevation of Afro-Caribbean cuisine being featured on Top Chef. Because for so long it was a lot of French technique, Italian technique, and your traditional like fine dining techniques that you see everywhere. But then these later seasons, we're starting to see cultures and ethnicities that haven't been in that spotlight in the
Mhm.
past, and are now getting their flowers in a sense,
Mhm.
and exposing to a very wide audience what this food is, and people going out there and asking for it and trying to find where they can get it. That's one thing I love about Top Chef is it has in 23 seasons literally has changed the way people dine out,
Yeah.
and what they look for in food, and for better or for worse. You have some people out there that kind of take it to an extreme and are kind of snobbish about it, but for the most part you got a lot of people that are looking at their food a little bit differently. So have you kind of, as a fan of Top Chef yourself, have you noticed that change, and how does that kind of make you feel as a chef that specializes in Afro-Caribbean cuisine as well?
I'm a big fan of it. I love it. I had a pop-up series in New York City called Contemporary Caribbean, where like I literally was like, I'm banking all on me. Like I've got to figure this out. I want to be in this ethos of chefs. But it's a broader conversation that I think is being had. Like, can our cuisine stand up in the fine dining world? And the answer is obviously yes. We've seen all these chefs going on Top Chef, in the recent years. You had Chef Kwame, you've got Chef Greg out of Portland. You've got myself, you've got Tristan, you've got Eric Pong, you've got Anthony. There's a lot of chefs that have gone on Top Chef and being like, you know what, I can either go in there and I can cook the food that I was taught to cook when I came up in these kitchens, these Michelin star kitchens, these French, these Italian, all these things. Or I can take all those techniques that I learned in those kitchens and apply it to a thought process to evoke new dishes. Like, let's create something essentially new here. We're not creating new techniques. Like, it's not El Bulli in terms of like, let's create new technical cooking, but let's create new dishes, new flavor profiles, pull products that nobody's ever heard of before, and it's working. Like, it's working so much. It's a lot more work from our standpoint. Like, I don't think people like quite understand. So last episode, for example, we talked about like the Cisco's of the world. So there's purveyors in the world and they carry X products. And now that this new way of cooking is coming into the ethos of fine dining, we cannot get these products readily available. Like Chef's Warehouse, Baldor, all these big conglomerates, they're only going to carry products that they can sell to like multiple accounts. So if you're the only account that wants this one thing, they're not going to carry it because it's just too costly for them, or they have to import it from like, a country that's on the other side of earth. And as we're seeing with, tariff wars and all these things that are going on in the world right now, everything's the most expensive as we've ever seen chefs, have to deal with. Like, the food cost right now is the highest it's ever been. This is like a massive challenge for chefs. And so for us having, an international approach to cuisine that was considered rustic forever and is now being transformed into something that's fine dining, we're still having to get creative and find ways to get these products. So like, for example, we have a place here in Tacoma, Maryland called the Caribbean Market that a couple of restaurants that I know of in DC use. And so we basically drive in, it's a 30-minute drive there, 30-minute drive back. And if there's traffic, you hour and a half round trip just to get there. And we've got to get things like, mango cuchilla. It comes from like one country. That's like a fermented mango condiment with spices that's influenced from India, but made its way to the Caribbean. So to get these products, if like there's a global shortage because now restaurants in New York are using it, restaurants in DC are using it, restaurants in London are using it, this tiny island can only produce so much. Like, they can't keep up the demand. So what do? We've got to make our own now. So now we've got to like reverse engineer these products and then try to get as close to what we've been serving guests in this. It's a massive challenge. It's so difficult. It's not impossible. It creates creative cooking, but it's like we carry this burden to like do this, and then we like hit a plateau, and you're like, all right, we got to go back to the drawing board to like lift again and then lift again. And we're doing that, and we're seeing it happen at like Marquette, New York City. We're seeing it at Kabawa, New York City. We're seeing it at Island, DC. It's happening, but it comes with a level of pressure that's like, man, we've got to like really get deep in our bag and find creative ways to like lift the culture and like lift the diaspora. And it's like we're doing it, but it's like it comes with like a heavy chip on your shoulder. I will say that.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword, right? You love
Mhm.
seeing the elevation of this cuisine, but then the inventory isn't there to help support that. So, it helps generate a new market for that thing, and,
Yeah,
and you have to
for sure.
find the people and find the suppliers that's able to do that for you, so that you're not sacrificing the quality of the dish that you're trying to portray by having to substitute
Mhm.
different things and getting that done. So, but yeah, I mean, I love seeing the elevation of these cuisines that America is not used to and our palates are not used to, and just stretching everybody's imagination as to what fine dining can be. So I love that Top Chef has had that influence over the past 23 seasons, of elevating the chefs that do that, and elevating their food that they cook as well. So Anthony did a great
Mhm.
job. Great feedback all around. I don't think there was anything negative,
Mhm.
about his dish. So obviously he was at the top. Justin did a grilled New York strip with exo sauce, marinated dehydrated mushrooms, citrus, fried leeks, and fried beef. Some division on the sauce. Kristen liked it. Savannah found it overpowering. What did we think of Justin? I mean, grilled New York strip with exo sauce, hard to go wrong there. But overall, how did you feel about his dish?
I like the fact that he used so many different dried products in his sauce. Like he used dried mushrooms, and obviously exo sauce is made with like dried shellfish. So like the smart way of like incorporating creative ingredients that typically may scare some people into a sauce and like going for it. I thought his cook on his beef was really nice. Going for New York strip, it's a very easy cut to like execute, and just a simple dish done very well, plated very nicely.
Yep, yep. And then now Brandon, we talked about having to pivot. His pavlova didn't dehydrate the way he wanted it to, so he pivoted to make a matcha cake with strawberries, yuzu meringue, pink peppercorn meringue, pineapple leather, and Thai basil. So
Mhm.
he plated it, and he told the people at the tables, like, the first thing you're going to eat is this like moon rock that he made, this dehydrated moon rock thing. And Tom, I'm kind of with Tom. Tom's like, I don't like instructions with my dish. I don't like people telling me how I need to eat my plate of food. And I'm kind of with him. I don't like instructions either. Let me explore on my own. I'd see if it's on a plate, I'm going to eat it. You don't need to tell me to eat it, and let me decide how best I experience your food. Are you with Tom, or do you make dishes that are like, okay, here's the best way to enjoy this, or are you more like Tom, like don't tell me how to eat?
So I see both sides of it. Obviously, when you get into like serious fine dining, like 2, 3 Michelin star restaurants, like there's like a way to do things. Obviously, Top Chef is not that, even though it kind of is. Like you're plating like smaller portions that are like tasting menu size. And so I think it's just a hard approach. Like Tom is just very particular, man. Like when you get to like cook for Tom consistently, he's a very particular chef. He's a very particular person. He likes what he likes and he doesn't what he doesn't. And that's just kind of how he is. And either you dance around it or you like go through it, and either you force him to like it or he's going to be like, nah, like you, this sucks, I don't like it. But you know I think him having to pivot his dish just didn't have any cohesiveness. I think that that's what I was hearing out of the chefs is, you're asking me to do this and it was a component that you messed up, and they obviously probably didn't know that, obviously sitting at the judges table. But what I heard was there was just no cohesiveness to the dish. His components were executed very nice, but the dish struggled to come together.
Yeah, yep. Sherry did a sea bass with a summer cassoulet, smoked Kalamata olive crumble, which I thought was pretty creative, and tomato skin chips, potato
Mhm.
chips too. Kristen liked it. Savannah liked the tomato skin chip. I thought the tomato skin chip was very creative and dehydrating. It looked really striking, and a texture that you probably don't associate with tomatoes, which is crispy, crunchy. So as far as the dehydration, I thought she met that challenge. I myself would have loved to have tasted a tomato skin chip, because
Mhm.
I love texture in my food. My favorite types of ice cream are things that are stuff that's in ice cream, that I can bite on and chew on. So a tomato skin chip to me sounds very exciting. What do we think about Sherry?
Yeah, creative dish. I think even in the last challenge with the potatoes, she was able to execute it and like reuse the potatoes and like make chips very well. So I think in terms of like watching her progress through this challenge, she's not scared to like get textures and like execute textures. That's like one of her strong suits that I'm seeing from like the TV side of it. She knows what she wants to cook, and she's, I think, leaning a little bit more into like the flavors. Summer cassoulet, like, can't go wrong. Who doesn't love cassoulet? Wintertime, summertime. But just a really well executed dish. She's on my team. I love to see her warming up, and she's like now putting herself at the top. So, good to see her that she's like getting comfortable in this competition. Like, I said a couple challenges ago, like some of the chefs like Seeger just got to shake those jitters off and like, just like be like, all right, cool. Like, people are getting eliminated around me. I don't want it to be me. Let me insert myself and let me just like relax and like cook the food that I want to cook. And we're seeing this come out in Sherry for sure.
Yeah, Sherry did great. Not a comedian, but
Not a comedian,
chef
not
cooker.
funny, but can cook some tasty food apparently.
That's right. Can cook food, can't cook a joke. So Lawrence did a brassica salad with trail mix, creamy sesame dressing, and pomegranate glass. I kind of thought, it's just a salad. How could you mess up a salad? He overdressed it. So there wasn't really a dehydrated element to it at the end of the day. Everything was just way too wet and overdressed. But you had an hour and a half to make a salad. So I kind of felt bad for Lawrence there. What did you think?
So I'm twofold. I think salad is a great way to like embrace a challenge if you do it right. And obviously he overdressed the salad, didn't do it right. He should have like really taken his steps and like made sure that salad was perfect, because like you said, it's just a salad. But at the end of the day, you see me also channeling my inner Lawrence with the pen in the ear. Every episode I'm like, what are you writing down, bro? Like, here, you're cooking right now. but the pomegranate glass, when he said like glucose and they were like, it's getting stuck in your teeth, I was like, yeah, like it's sugar. So like you've either got to like dehydrate that shit super far, or it's just going to be like this gummy kind of texture, which we saw was the case in there. And so, he had trail mix in there. I just don't think, hot take, you come out super strong in Top Chef and then it gets hard because then like you have a mishap. Is it confidence? Him and Rhoda, two chefs that like had mishaps that like came out super strong, and you got to like carry that longevity over. And so like, I just don't think that it was his best use of his day. Maybe the challenge was a little bit weird to him. I wonder what his thought process was going into that, because he's shown he's super creative and can technically cook very, very well. Like Lawrence has that bag. So why go so simple to where you mess up a salad? I wonder why he chose that and decided, like, when I heard trail mix, I was like, okay, well, are you going to do something to the trail mix? And like, not really. Okay. And then he made the pomegranate glass as like a thing, and then like missed his mark there. And then the salad was over. So I'm like, all right, like, you made the bao buns, knocked it out the park. Like, you've done multiple things. You've won Quickfires, you've won immunity. So why this? That's where I was kind of like looking at the camera. I'm like, why that?
Yeah, I think when you have like with Lawrence and Rhoda, you peak early, and then you hit a wall. Like you peak early. You do all your best work in the first couple of episodes, and then you're kind of like fishing for ideas. You're grasping at straws for ideas there in the middle part of the season, and it's how you pole vault yourself over that mental wall and try to remember what it is that went well in those challenges, and trying to duplicate that around the parameters of the next challenge that I think helps you get through. But I think with Rhoda and Lawrence, they just hit this wall, and now they're kind of like trying to figure out what to do now. So yeah, I was thinking, man, you had an hour and a half, and the best you could do is an overdressed salad. I was like, Lawrence, come on, man, you're better than this. So
yeah, we saw that. We know he's better than that. Like you would have convinced me he was on the way to, him and Rhoda both were on the way to being finalists, and that just didn't turn out in week 5. So yeah, 100%.
Yep. So Jonathan's up next. He did a smoked swordfish with dehydrated strawberries, jicama, and mandarin salsa, mizuna leaves, and lime meringue sticks, which I thought was pretty creative. But mixed reviews from the judges. I think the meringue sticks was the only thing that kind of got positive reviews all around. But overall, just kind of was, firmly in the middle, I guess, but nothing really outstanding. What are your thoughts on Jonathan's dish?
Yeah, a couple chefs like just existed in the middle. And that's fine. Like, sometimes if you don't knock it out of the park, you just don't gotta be like the slowest kid and running the race. Like, and that's fine. Some of these challenges are hard, man. Like, how do you dehydrate a bunch of things and like make something like that's like a knock out the park? Like, not everybody's gonna do that. Not everybody's gonna like knock the challenge out the park. And so I think this is one of those challenges where we saw like just a good spread of like people like doing really well, people in the middle. couple people like struggling at the bottom, and it's, the people that struggled, I think we'll get to Oscar next. Like, I thought he was on home, and it's just technical cooking. Like, don't rush something that you're going to cook to cuisson. Like, take your time. Like, leave that oven at 350. You've got plenty of time on the clock. You're going to rest it, let it do its thing. Once you just like crank the timer and crank the temp up, I was like, oh, brother, like, rookie mistake, man. Like, and, it's the second time he's had moments of like shakiness in this competition, but he's also had like moments of like super confidence. And so, like you said, man, just you gotta get over that wall. And I think hopefully going into the, episode 6, he's able to like be like, all right, I've made my mistakes. Like, we got to get over it, because this is not it. And he's able to like, get back to like a winning season, because at this point we're seeing people get weeded out quickly, and there's just not a lot of room for error. Like, after week 5, it's like, all right, like, one person is going to be the clear, distinct person going home every week from now. Like, this is it. Like, and then it's just going to get harder from there. And so I think Oscar's got to like turn this leaf and like get back to like his winning season, where he was like making, tasty food, and the judges were letting his moles and then like his ideas. Like, he's got to lean into that and like stop having these shaky moments.
Yeah, let's talk about Oscar. His dish. He had a lamb chop with yellow grits, asparagus, and variations of mama's mole. Ironically, the most dehydrated thing on the plate was something he wasn't supposed to dehydrate, and that was the lamb. He overcooked it. Like you talk about, he was worried about it undercooking, and then he threw it in the oven, turned the timer on, and then just kind of forgot about it. And I understand that fog of war, so to speak, in your head as you go through the competition. And he remembers like, oh man, this is a burnt offering now. This is too much, but you can't not serve it, right? So he served way overdone lamb chop, and then grits. Congealed, because grits is a very time sensitive dish. If you don't eat that thing right then, it's going to turn into spackle, that you can put up wallpaper with. And so the whole plate, I think, for Oscar, unfortunately, was kind of a disaster. I do like the idea of a dehydrated mole. I thought that was very creative. But with the congealed grits and the overcooked lamb, it was just too much to get over as trying to find anything positive about it. And yeah, so with grits, I mean, you got to serve it with a lot of liquid, otherwise it's just going to congeal on you. So not a great look for Oscar. And I think and we haven't talked about Rhoda yet, we're going to talk about Rhoda next, but I think if Rhoda did a little bit better, it would have been Oscar going home. But Rhoda, I mean, on paper, her dish sounded great. It was squid and crusted roasted monkfish. So she dehydrated the squid ink and then kind of used it like salt to create a crust for the fish. In adobo sauce, dehydrated broccoli and garlic chips. Tom immediately pushed the plate away, saying, "I'm not going to eat it." I was like, "Oh no, that's bad." And then as soon as the plate landed, Kristen looked at the fish and said, "Something's not right." And then Gail asked at the table there, did this dish turn out the way you intended? And we talked about that last week. When you get those types of questions, something went wrong. And she just like drove right through it. She said, yeah, this is exactly how I wanted it. Like, didn't even recognize kind of what happened there. And so it was undercooked to, I think, almost to the point of being raw. And I was just thinking, gosh, talk about Lawrence, what a devastating 180 for Rhoda in the last couple of episodes. Her dish, again, on paper, sounded great. I thought could have turned out had she roasted that fish instead of what turned out to be steaming it. What are your thoughts here? What went wrong for her?
Yeah, monkfish is just definitely one of those types of fish that you got to cook a particular way to get the results you want. Roasting it in a pan, brown butter, basting it, letting it cook through, because it's an unforgiving fish. It sucks, man. I'm still a Rhoda fan, but I was a fan of her like coming out the gate strong and being like, level-headed, clear leader, able to make concise decisions from the pepper challenge early on, winning back-to-back immunity. I was like, okay, she's coming to cook. Like, I want to see what she does, and she had her day. I thought, like I said, I thought Oscar was going, I was like, oh, he just hammered the lamb. Yeah. But as we see, the judges would prefer overcooked food versus undercooked food. That's apparent. Like, it's just, we've seen it multiple times in multiple seasons. So Oscar definitely dodged the bullet, but I think like overall she struggled to like embrace the dehydrated challenge. Like the squid ink, but then she like covered it with a sauce, and then Kristen said it was like really wet and it was like leaching, and it just the dehydrated components really didn't, they had no room to shine because her dish was so wet. The fish was undercooked. So just like Tom said, there was a lot of like basic cooking mistakes, getting back to the basics that clearly threw people for a wrench in this challenge. And I hated to see her go just because she came out super strong, but that's how it crumbles, man. That's how Top Chef literally, it winds you up with certain people and then they get knocked out. And then like, as a fan or somebody watching it, oh man, my person, I wanted to see them do well. They got knocked out a little too early. And so she's going to LCK. I'm pretty sure she'll do well in LCK. Like that's, we'll see how, we'll talk about that next, but I'm pretty sure she's going to do well in LCK.
Yep. So Seeger did a spinach wrap poached chicken with morel, quenelle, and consomme. I thought it was interesting that as soon as the plates hit the table, the judges immediately clocked that was Seeger's dish. So he's, I mean, in a good way for him, he's identified his way of cooking and using that within the parameters of the challenge, but putting himself in there too, so people recognize that that's his food. But unfortunately, wasn't a strong dish. Tom called it spa food, and they thought he dehydrated too much. Like dehydration was the challenge, but they said you don't have to dehydrate every single thing. And so it's like, where do you find that line in a challenge of highlighting what the challenge is supposed to be about and then going way too much over?
That was, I was surprised when Seeger's dish dropped and we saw it. I thought the quenelles were really like, it was plated super nice. I was like, oh, that's creative as shit. Like, look at it. Like everything is like just dainty. And then obviously we've seen like chefs in the past, like, nail consommes, Buddha, Vinny, just nailing consomme. So I'm like, okay, this has the markings of if he executed, obviously you and I are not there tasting it, but if he executed the flavors, he's got a dish that looks like it's going to win. And then Tom says spa food. And I was like, whoa, like, whoa, what are we, okay. All right, let's listen some more, And so sometimes you just missed your mark. And, I think he had aesthetically a very creative dish. It was very nice looking. It was plated like super tight in a bowl. The quenelles were like really all the same shape and size. And so, like you said, he's establishing himself as having like a theme or like a style of cooking. Like that's apparent. And he's going for that. And I think if he continues to do this, he can either exist at the top, as we saw, he won last challenge, so he had immunity today. But if he misses his mark, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Like of course he had critiques. Like, sometimes food is absolutely critiquable and sometimes there's just no notes. But today it was like soft critiques, like, yeah, spot food, yeah, a little too far. But like, did it mess up really? Like, didn't really mess up to the point it's like, all right, he's at the bottom, like he's potentially going home. So, dodged a bullet, he had immunity, safe, cool.
Yeah. But I do like that his identity's starting to come through on his cooks, and we're going to see more of that as he gets more comfortable in the competition. Jennifer. So Jennifer, cooking one-armed, did a smoked catfish dip with dehydrated herbs, focaccia with sesame seeds, poppy seeds, and dehydrated lemon. Gail liked the dip. Tom said she did really well. Personally, I thought it was just underwhelming. It was a dip. It was a smoked fish dip, essentially. And there's no rule, I guess, in the elimination challenge that everything has to be like a main course style dish. That it has to have, a carb and a veg and a protein or whatever the case is. But I don't know if a dip is to the level of a Top Chef elimination challenge. I mean, it tasted good, which got her through, but I thought just plating wise and as a dish itself was a little underwhelming. I don't know. Am I wrong?
It depends. I think it depends how you use your components. Like if she would have did like a spoon quenelle or like a rocher and like use the dip as a component for a vessel to carry into something else, she executed that very well. So she stuck to the challenge. Something like, it's just the same critique that I just gave for Seeger. Sometimes you make something and it's like just critiquable enough, or the dish, the chefs at the judges table, they like it and they're like, okay, but like it was a critiquable dish and she could have had another element there, component. She had more than enough time. I think that her arm is clearly distracting her. Like that's apparent. It's taking away from her ability to think just strictly about food, because she's, the second time she's been like, I don't want to do the quickfire challenge. And we've never seen this before in a Top Chef kitchen. So she's clearly struggling physically in this, and it's weighing on her ability to like just focus on food, which kind of sucks, like she's trying to be creative. She's going for it. She's executing the best she can. She's not bombing. like with one arm. You know, she's basically like a peg leg pirate right now. And that is it's hard to see. You know, I thought when they gave her the opportunity to bow out, I thought she was going to be like, yeah, I think this is, I'm not able to do what I came here to do. She's showing grit. It's like, but in that grit, like dig deep, like be Michael Jordan with the flu game. Like, don't let that be your end all be all. And I'm glad she decided to stay. I'm glad that also Seeger was like, you're not going home. Like, you're staying, like, keep going. Like, we're in this. Like, this group of chefs, I said it last week, man. This group of chefs has this camaraderie. Like, Rose said it, you know, my new best friends, they're hanging out. They really enjoy each other's company, and they're cooking with a different like level of like competitional pressure. I want to see her do well, but it's clearly weighing on her. And I think she's got to either like get over this injury or she's going to get taken out soon if she can't rise to the occasion. So it sucks to see, but she's doing well enough.
Yeah, let's talk about her decision for just a second while we're on Jennifer. So, recapping, she bowed out of her second quickfire challenge in a row, and then they did give her the choice. Hey, if you want to go, you know, no shame. You can come
You can
back.
come back.
You can come back when you're feeling better and you're over your injury. We commit to having you back on the show in another season. But if you bow out of another quickfire challenge, you're going to be asked to leave because you can't be doing that. You can't be just picking and choosing which challenges you want to do. So yeah, she decided to stay. If it were me, if I were in her position, because I mean, a shoulder injury is huge. My wife injured her shoulder recently, and I see the pain that she's having to go through rehab and getting it back to 100%. So it's rough. If it were me and I were Jennifer, I would have said, I'm out. I can't cook one-handed, and if I can come back in a future season, I want to be at 100%. And I love, like you said, I love that all the chefs were like, hey, park next to me on the quick fire. I'll help you. And I'll help you in the elimination challenge. But that's not how I want to go about this game, Top Chef. That's not how I want to win. I don't want to win because 3 chefs cooked half of my mise en place or half of my dish while I'm like in a cat or in a sling. I want to compete at full strength at 100%. Yes, there's a Michael Jordan flu game, sure, that you go through that but I don't. This is different. I can't. I would not be able to cook one armed for the majority of this challenge. We're going to see if this decision comes back to bite her in the later episodes. But if it were me, I probably would have been like, let me go out with some dignity and let me come back next season and do my thing, because you're not seeing the full and complete Jennifer. You're seeing 75% of Jennifer, because I can't cook to my fullest potential with literally one arm tied behind my back. So I don't know. I don't think she made the right decision, but we'll see. I mean, maybe she'll get some really good medicine and make it through. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think
So
she's showing grit at the end of the day.
yeah,
She's showing grit by staying, and that you've got to respect. You know, she has the ball is in her court. She has the power to be like, yeah, I'll come back, or I'm gonna stay and tough this out. Both are like, we get it. Like, we see you. Both are admirable. I'm not mad at it. I applaud her by staying, because let's say she would have bowed out. Would they have sent 2 people home this past challenge? Would they have just been like, okay, like you're taking the place of somebody else, and you know, Oscar or Roeder was scot free? Like, how would that have worked? You know, I was watching it like, oh man, if she bows out, like what are they gonna do? You know, but she's showing grit, man. I gotta respect it. Like, life is full of like ups and downs. Sometimes you just gotta work through the pain, and it sucks being obviously your arm. Like, yeah, if my hip hurts at work, like I just will bring all my mise en place and stay on my station and just try not to walk around too much or take the elevator versus the stairs. But like your arm, like you need to use the chef knife, you need to use both hands, you need to use spoons, like you need it. But yeah, she's in a tough spot. And I hope either she can settle this pain and not get eliminated next, or because we're seeing barbecues coming, so labor intensive cooking, heavy meats. Like, is this going to be something she's going to get over? Or is it going to knock her out?
yeah, yeah. And me on the other hand, I'm like, don't be a martyr. Like, don't be a
Yeah.
martyr. You know, come back at full strength. I want to see you cook at full strength, because clearly you got the talent. And I hate to see, you know, you cook at not full strength. So, but let's talk about the last dish. We have Du Yen. She did a coconut braised pork belly, radicchio, Thai basil, chimichurri, and rice with dehydrated shrimp and aromatics. The judges loved the dish. Gail liked the sauce. Tom finished the pork belly, and being the last dish, he finished it. So that tells you it was probably pretty good.
Mhm.
And the rice looked amazing. It was clearly the star. And she, in her, in the judge table, was like, "I'm the designated rice cooker in my family," so you know she knows how to cook rice. But I thought it was a very successful dish. Like Anthony, it looked really good. Embracing her upbringing and her culture and elevating it. What did we think of Duyen?
The pork belly looked immaculate. Like I love when a sauce is reduced to the point where when you like lacquer something in it, it just like coats and it's shiny. I was like, oh shit, that looks delicious. And the fact that Tom ate every bite and it was the last group of chefs, sometimes being last is hard because the judges have had all this food and they've sometimes already picked their favorite. You know what I mean? I had a challenge when I did apple 5 different ways and I did the scallop crudo. And me and Vinny were first. And I'm like, you don't know what all the chefs behind you are cooking. So I'm like, man, there's like, yeah, we may have like whooped them up out the gate, but like, did somebody else make something crazy? And then you find out like, oh, like being first is great because if you knock it out the park and you just hit them with flavors and techniques and combinations, they're like immediate first step impression. Like I'm already putting that into my top 3 slots versus being last and they've had bad food, good food, great food. This does that automatically put you in the middle because they're a little bit full and their palates are blown out? Clearly not. She cooked an amazing dish and it showed. And Tom was licking his plate basically without licking his plate.
Yep. Yep. So with that, we go right to the judges table, and to no surprise, we have Anthony, Duyen, and Sherry in the top of the judges table, with Anthony being the winner. So congratulations to Anthony, gets elimination or immunity for the next elimination challenge. On the bottom, by obvious reasons, we have Lawrence, Rhoda, and Oscar. And Rhoda was eliminated, heading to LCK, only because she undercooked her fish and the dehydration kind of took a back seat. Oscar dodged a bullet. I think Lawrence wasn't. I like how Gail said it, or maybe it was Kristen. It's not as offensive as the other two, so he was safe. But Oscar, I think, really dodged a bullet only because Rhoda undercooked her fish. Had she cooked her fish to temp, I feel like Oscar probably would have gone home. So hopefully he will remember that, and in the next season or the next episode, be like, yeah, I don't want to find myself in that position ever again. So let's get right into LCK, into Last Chance Kitchen. It's Rhoda versus Nana. And it was a create your spin on a she crab soup, but it can't be soup. And I love she crab soup. I mean, I love the salty brininess of it with a little shot of sherry right before you serve it. That wakes it all up. It's extremely crabby. So I love she crab soup. So I love this challenge, and I love food that fights back a little bit because I thought it was hilarious that these crabs were making a run for it on the table, and Rhoda tried to grab one and it pinched her. She's like, "Oh yeah, you got to go," and then they cut to her like chopping that live crab in half. Brutal. What is your what's your take on this she crab soup spin challenge? Do you like she crab soup?
I'm a fan of crabs in general.
Oh yeah.
Dungeness crab is by far probably my favorite crab. Like getting it like the Pacific Northwest, like creme de la creme. Like I love in Jamaica, like we use river crabs a lot. We do like a curried crab soup. Living here in DC, Maryland, blue crabs every summer. Like my family, multiple bushels of crabs throughout the entire summer. We're sitting there, long table, newspapers everywhere. You've got crab boil. Like I love crabs. It's like something that I'm like, I get it. Some people are like, sea bugs, ew, gross, cool. Hate that for you, more for me. You know what I mean? That's so when I see that, the Carolinas have their embrace on like, crabs, and they've got she crabs that are native to their lands, and they have this dish. It's so transferable amongst cultures. Like I think what culture doesn't have a shellfish, like a serious like crab shellfish dish? Like every lobster bisque, river crabs. The Japanese use crabs. Like everybody uses crabs in some way, and everybody does it really well. I thought Nana frying the crab arms super smart. Like this is cool. Like she's making herself be known that like all right, she's rallying back. Like once again, Nana, I want to see you rally back. I want to see you cook for it. I thought um, that she did a mac and cheese was a little interesting. Like, Nana definitely leans into like that West African cooking that she like grew up on. So I thought she was going to go in that direction. I think if she would have went that direction, she might have won out. Just because like she's not scared to cook big bold flavors like, at all. Like Nana's not scared of that. We know that. Like she cooks very like slow and low, sauce oriented, and mac and cheese is a great vessel. Also, you're cooking pasta for time, so like you mess that up, you're gone. So, but she nailed her cook. So, shout out to Nana, like rallying back, putting it on her back, showing the world that like she's in it to win it. So,
Yeah, so Rhoda did a Singaporean chili crab, and
mhm,
cooking the crab in the sauce added the essence of the crab to it, and then she added more crab. Like she just overloaded the crab.
mhm,
And Nana, I thought crab mac and cheese was a good idea.
mhm,
And Tom said it was creamy. The pasta was cooked well, and the fried crab claws I thought was a smart move too. And Rhoda won with her Singaporean chili crab.
mhm,
Tom thought it was going to be too spicy, but with the crab being cooked in the sauce, it helped balance it out, and it just
mhm,
was more crabby. And that's where why Nana got eliminated. It just wasn't as crabby as Rhoda's, and that's
mhm.
what in Last Chance Kitchen. What I'm noticing is people are going home by like
I
hair
agree.
splits. Yeah,
Yeah.
by just a degree. Had she just added more crab, I think Nana could have won because to me,
Mhm,
a mac and cheese, a crab mac and cheese just seems more satisfying. It seems much
mhm,
more like homey and just reminds you of a warm hug. And but the challenge was the essence of she crab soup, which is crab.
mhm,
And Rhoda just did more of it, and that's what got her the win. So Nana, unfortunately, is eliminated. There's no coming back. Rona wins to fight another day. So let's see if she can remember what got her those early wins. And as she fights through Last Chance Kitchen in this King of the Mountain style tournament, see how long she gets in there. So a good episode overall. Let's get right to the points. Like I said, your stable of chefs really kicked tail this week. Mine failed to perform. And so I ended the episode with -6 points after it was all said and done. And you ended the episode with 18. And with my negative points and your positive points, you have overtaken me now. After 5 episodes, we're at 48 to 34. I am behind 34, and you are ahead of 48. And individual chefs. So Seeger is the front runner as far as individual chef points. He's got 20 points overall over 5 seasons. So Seeger's really coming into his own. That sweep in last week's episode really elevated his point standings, and on your team really brought you back from the brink.
mhm.
So next week we'll see how it goes. We have the barbecue episode next week. I'm looking forward to
Super
that one.
excited for this. This is
I'm
what I think
super. I saw the
everybody is waiting
yeah
for.
yeah I saw the
Barbecue in
previews
the
for it.
Carolinas.
That's right. Barbecue in the Carolinas. And I'm going to be really interested to see what they do because like you don't want to fuss with barbecue too much. You don't want to make it too chefy, right? You don't want to make it too fancy.
But
So
I
it's
feel like that's the component of Top Chef. They're probably gonna have to in some way, shape, or form because it's not Top Chef is never just about like doing something like just this. Like because
right,
then you're just making, like you said, the whitefish dip. Like what else? You know what I mean?
right.
So I'm eager to see like what they're not just gonna go in there and cook barbecue. And maybe they might. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the judges just want to see like throw down your style of North Carolina pit barbecue. Like do this. And maybe it's just a raw challenge, but I don't think that it's going to be that. I think there's got to be some type of twist. If I know anything about it, Kristen is going to come in here and throw a wrench in it. Like she was doing that my whole season. It's got to be something different. It's got to be something a little creative because if not, it's just like, all right, cool, it's just barbecue, but which is fine, but it's just barbecue.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm interested to see it because there is going to be that fine line between remembering traditional barbecue and then doing too much to it to where you don't even recognize that it's barbecue. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. I'm really looking forward to it. So last few minutes here, where can people find you on Instagram? What's going on at the restaurant that people need to know about?
You can follow me on Instagram at Chef Corwin Hemming. Interesting news. I also got to shout out some other players. We at we've been selected for finalists in the Rammy, so best new restaurant category. So super hyped for my team at Isla. Everybody, all the hard work that's going in is paying off. I also got to shout out some other people. Chef Anthony at Marcus DC is also in that category for best new restaurant. I also got to shout out the team at El Mina, Chef Eric Ajapong, Chef Wale. They're also in the category for best new restaurant. And my last shout out is my old stomping grounds at the Occidental. I'm 2 for 2 on restaurants that I've opened in the past year and a half that are both nominated for this category. Also, us talking about restaurants that are embracing the diaspora that are in that conversation. Guys at Elmina, keep doing it. Guys at Marcus DC, keep doing it. Like it's working. Like the proof is in the pudding. Team at Isla, shout out, big up yourselves, because we're putting our cultures on the map, and the hard work is paying off. Like it's not all about getting the accolades. It's not about winning a James Beard Award or getting a star or like winning the Rammys. It's not all about that. But when you do get into that conversation and that's not your focus, that means the hard work is paying off. So like everybody that's in that category, like congratulations. I'm super excited to see who wins out. I'm hoping it's us, obviously, but nonetheless, like for me, I've opened 2 restaurants that are in this category, and that to me is like I'm where I need to be. Like obviously I was on Top Chef, and like all these things that like are laying on, it's just like the hard work is paying off after 15 years in this industry of grinding it out. It's like it's everybody that's doing it. Shout out to yourselves, man. I love to see it.
Yeah, congrats on the Rammy nomination. So when do you find out if you win or not?
At the award ceremony. They're going to announce it at the award ceremony coming up next month in May. And so, I'll be there with the suit on, booted and suited. Give me any excuse to put on a suit. I'm going hard. I'm going straight to this suit supplier. I'm going to see my guy in New York City, get a fresh suit. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm super excited. I hope we win it. If we win it, like I'm spraying a bottle of champagne somewhere. Just know that.
Nice. Keep us updated, and obviously follow Chef Corwin on Instagram. I'm sure you're going to be posting all kinds of fun selfies and videos of the award ceremony. So we'll see how you turn out there. So good luck to that.
Yes, for sure.
And follow me on socials at Rich Rare and at Eat Your Content to keep up with everything going on with the podcast, and make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on your podcast player of choice so you know when new episodes drop. Chef Corwin Hemming, thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
Episode 6 is coming up. I'm excited for it. I'll see you next week, Rich.
Thanks for listening to Eat Your Content. If you like what you hear, please consider supporting the podcast through my merch store on TeePublic. Get great quality items like t-shirts, hats, mugs, and more, all sporting the vibrant Eat Your Content logo. Go to teepublic.com/user/eatyourcontent for more great items, and thanks for your support.